Hello, good evening, everyone. Hi,
Good
everyone.
evening.
Hi, and welcome
Hello,
to
good evening.
okay. Welcome to today's webinar of six smart job hunts most you need to know. I'm Nili, and I'll be your moderator for today. Um, let's give ourselves some small time just to allow the others to join quickly. Then we start with the presentation soon. So let's do this about in the next 5 minutes. Let's give our time some 5 minutes, and then we'll continue soon. Hello, everyone. Okay, so before we get started,
Hello.
please share the link with friends, classmates, or anyone you think will benefit from this section. I mean, the more the better. Let's spread the value. Thank you.
Yes, please.
Thank you. All right. Thank you to everyone who just joined, and a big thank you to those who shared the link. We are excited to get started, so let's dive in. Today's webinar, our goal today is to into our goal today is to give a smart strategy you can start using immediately to land the right role. Feel free to drop your questions in the comment section and we will attend to them right after the presentation. I am thrilled to introduce our panel of experts today, who is of Mr. Charles Essel, an HR practitioner, and he has been on both sides of the hiring process, and he is here today to give us an insider tip. And I don't think you want to miss it. So, Mr. Charles Essel, please take us away.
Yeah, hi everyone. Good evening. You're all welcome to today's session, today's program. I'm delighted to be on the list or be on the the chopping board today. And I hope that by the end of this session, we'll all go home or go back with something that would impact us and our careers as we grow. All right. Basically, today's topic is quite a popular one. I think I've actually been to so many webinars or seminars on this same topic, but the main focus is every time you go, you leave with something different. It's always not the same. So what you focus on most is the perspective of the speaker and what they are also bringing on board or adding to what you already know. So our advice that even though we may know some of these tips, focus on the angle we are addressing it from, and that is where you get the maximum impact towards your personal career growth. Right. Okay, so the topic for today is simple hacks for smart career hunting. Over here, what are we talking about? Simple hacks for smart career hunting or smart job hunting. I know, I don't know your status at the moment, whether employed or unemployed. But speaking from my perspective or my angle, I am employed, but I've been on both sides where, fresh graduate, you leave school, you enter the job market, job search becomes more than a job where you have to constantly put in applications here and there just to try and secure a solid job. Some jobs we've done have been temporal, some have been permanent, but though permanent, we had to leave for better options available to us. Right. So the major objective for today is just to make it easier for us. Some of us may already be employed, but are actively hunting. So, right, it still applies to all of us over here, basically. So this is the outline of our presentation for today. So let's just jump right into it. I'll try and make everything as brief and concise as possible so that everyone can understand, bring it down to everyone's level. Then we can have the questions, try and tackle them, and we continue. All right. So definitely after school or entering into the job market, we all have a plan. Even with our careers, I know we all have personal plans, career plans, so many. But as a plan, it's outlined and everything, but still not easy because there are so many factors from so many different angles: family, finances, environment, and a whole lot, right? So all these impact our plan. But as human as we are, we must be ready to make changes at every single point in time. Right. So yes, gone are the days where you be done with school, you just take your application to a company and you have to wait until maybe you are called. Gone are also the days where maybe you be done with school or you be job hunting. Um, you just send your application. Some of us don't even have to, or previously didn't even send applications. It's just by word of mouth that people got jobs and all. Gone are those days now. Things are much. Sorry, just a second. Can everyone hear me, please? Hello?
Yes, we can. We can hear you very loudly.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So yes. So now things have changed. Basically, what I'm trying to say. Now the whole job market and the dynamics have changed. And as things change, you also need to adjust your plan and prepare accordingly. Right. So in strategy, we learned that strategy basically means competition or creating a competitive advantage. So if you are creating or if there's competition, then you need to design a competitive strategy so that you can get an upper hand over the changes, basically what you're trying to say. And these small changes are what will give us big impacts. And that is what we aim for today. Right. So my major objective over here is not to help anyone get a job. My major objective is to build a strong mental resilience. Build a strong mental resilience. Over here, what I'm trying to say is that after this webinar, our mind should be thick, our mind should be made up so that we keep on searching, do the things or put in our applications the right way, and put in the right measures to ensure that we can secure that dream job. That is the primary objective over here. It's not to help anyone get a job or anything, but just to put the tools in front of us so that we can pick them up, learn from them, and apply them in our various career paths. Okay. Yeah, also to stand out, to help make our application stand out and land that interview, right? To also shield us from the risk of unemployment, to help us navigate this career search, and to optimize our job hunting process. Okay, so we'll be looking at 5 hacks. I've put together 5 hacks based on research, experience. Also, I've put together 5 hacks, which I believe that would help or aid us in securing a dream job or in this job hunt process that we are all in. I say this job hunting process that we are all in because, like I said earlier, some of us may be employed, some of you may be employed, but are actively job hunting. And I don't blame any of us. I mean, that's the nature of the economy or environment we find ourselves in. Everyone wants greener pastures. Everyone is seeking for better job offers. So everyone is involved. No one is left out. Right. So the very first hack I would like to outline is the positive attitude. I call it a PA. Having a PA, having a positive attitude. Over here, we are talking about combining certain qualities to make up a whole body, right? So I'm talking about discipline, humility, open-mindedness, and the willingness to learn. These 4, I believe that every single person should embrace them and practice them constantly. Why do we need these in job hunting? Why should these even be part of a job hunt process or career hunting? So we are talking about discipline. Why do you need discipline? So in order to achieve anything in life, you need to set certain principles, and you need to be able to go by those principles. To be able to achieve or go by those principles, the first thing you need is to be disciplined. Because if you're not disciplined, you're not going to go by your principles. You do other things, right? So you need discipline. You need to be very humble. I mean, you are disadvantaged. You need something from someone. You need to secure a job. You need an opportunity. You need to acquire a certain skill. You want to be accepted into a program, a volunteer program or something. You need to humble yourself for people to see you for who you are and accept you. So I believe that is a major attitude that we all need to establish or um, add to ourselves or in our daily lives. Open-mindedness. Most people have certain perceptions or have certain principles that, okay, or I have to do this, I want to do this. This is what I want to achieve. So I can't compromise. But you having an open mind is very important, because in this case, you are not talking about compromising, but you are talking about adjusting to suit the situation. Open-mindedness does not mean you compromising, but also looking at things from a different perspective. You understand? So very important. And the willingness to learn, major attitude that every employer is looking at, that we cannot um, fall short of, right? So I believe that we need to develop a positive attitude. This is the very first hack that we should all work towards, building a positive attitude. What are the upsides? So why do we need to develop these attitudes? First thing is to assess options appropriately. So if you have an open mind, you are able to assess various options that come your way from various or different perspectives. So this makes you look at things from various points of view for you to make an informed decision. But if you're not open-minded and, oh, I want to do this is what I want to achieve. So, oh, this is what I have to do, or this is the job I have to get. Who knows? You may have to start from somewhere to get to somewhere. So, okay, you want to be, or you want to land a job as an HR officer in a certain organization, but the job available at the time is not an HR officer, or is probably is an administrative officer. Open-mindedness, right? You assess the option. You could probably apply for that position. You may go for the interview, and who knows, you may even be accepted for or added to the HR office based on your performance, right? So it helps you to accept your options appropriately. It makes you open to help and recommendations, because we said you be humble. So where there's humility, people definitely will be willing to help you, right? If you are doing a home as well, sorry to say, who's gonna want to help somebody with such an attitude, right? People will definitely also want to recommend you because you are humble and you are willing to learn as well. Considerations, even when not qualified, these same values will give you the opportunity to be considered even where you are not worthy or qualified for a certain position, right? So I believe that we should all work on these. Employers would want to know you. So on face value, people see this specific attitude. They see you exhibiting these attitudes. They'll want to know more about you. So that breaks that barrier. Then upon getting to know you, they realize that, oh, okay, you have this skill, you are good in this, you have this potential. Then they give you the opportunity. So that could also land you a good job or a good opportunity, right? So that's also an upside. And the last thing is the opportunity to learn and grow. Once you get that opportunity that you are given, you learn. Who knows? Like we said, you may not be qualified or ready for the role, but you get to learn and grow in that particular field, right? So that's the first hack we should all take note of. We move on to the second one, which is networking. Networking. What is the role of networking in job hunting? Someone will ask. But in actual fact, the role of networking cannot be valued. It's so significant that you cannot place a value on it. That is the role of networking, because right now, it just takes a word from someone and information is out there. And we are all aware that the most important resource currently is information. Right. So through networking, you're able to build trust with multiple parties. How do you network? We are talking about meeting people, engaging people, putting yourself out there. Right now, people would say, "Oh, I'm an introvert. Oh, this is my temperament," and all that. But fine, we understand all that. We don't take those things, don't take anything away from you. But when it gets to certain aspects of life, I mean, you need to, like we said, you need to be strategic and you need to adjust. Because now the job market is not waiting for anyone, or it's not conforming to your temperament or to your rules, right? It's a whole world on its own. So if you sit in your corner and you're going to say that, oh, this is my temperament, this is who I am, then you're going to sit there and nobody's going to help you, right? So you need to put yourself out there, build trust with multiple parties, influence them to share their resources and information with you, right? Somebody may meet you, may have a discussion with you, but there are certain levels of information that they wouldn't share with you, right? It ends at a certain point. But through constant networking, through constant engagement and communication, you realize that you start opening up or giving you certain information. And this may be towards your career growth, towards job hunting, towards job postings and other things, right? So very important. And the other parties become your agents. They market your brand. So once they get to know who you are, the value you bring to the table, what you possess, the skills you possess, now they would be marketing you to others because you want to get an opportunity somewhere. So they will put you out there themselves. They will help or aid you in your process of the job hunting, right? So networking is very important over here. You walk, and like I said in this slide, you walk to the table with some value. That is your contribution, and you walk away with much greater value. In networking, one thing you should know is that you are always bringing something on board. In fact, you should always bring something on board. That is where networking is established. What are you bringing on board? So, are you bringing a skill? Are you bringing some information? Are you bringing your service? Like, you should always bring something on board that breaches the gap. Then that is where you would also walk away with much greater value. That is what you're trying to say. The upsides here. So where skills are insufficient, you network by volunteering your time. So like we said, you are bringing something on board, but this may be the case where you've not really had much work experience. So you'd say that, oh, I've not really done much, so I don't really know much. Or you're a fresh graduate, or maybe just by chance, you've not really gotten much job opportunities or opportunities to work. So you ask yourself that, what am I bringing on board? Like we said earlier, you need to start from somewhere. You always have to start from somewhere. So where skills are insufficient, you network by volunteering your time. So that's where you bring in your time. Volunteerism. It's not bad. But I think currently we are heading towards a dispensation where people, even though it's volunteerism, people try to compensate you or meet you halfway. So you may not get the full compensation, but at least they try to meet you halfway because they recognize your efforts. And through this volunteerism, you get to build your skills and you build formidable relationships as well. So let's not downplay the power of volunteering in these times. They are very, very important. Take up the role. It may be something small, but over here, you are building your skills, you are building capacity, and you are building relationships. And through that, you may get a recommendation or a greater opportunity, right? So, like we are saying, provide the opportunities for recommendation to people who need your value, even when you are not job hunting, and ultimately result in getting poached, right? So over here, you don't have a job, you are volunteering, you are building your skill, building capacity, you may get a bigger recommendation, or you're already working. but you take up other side tasks, just to also build your capacity. Do that, they may even lead to bigger opportunities for you, and you may get poached. And we all know poaching is not an easy game over here or in this part of the world. If you are being poached to a different organization, that's a very big deal because it comes with a lot of benefits, right? And the opportunities for mentorship and lasting career relationships, one upside of networking, also very important. So we looked at two things. We looked at the EA and we looked at the networking. Let's move on to the third one. The third hack today we are going to talk about is a winning CV. I'm sure you expected this, so you've definitely seen this coming. A winning CV, very important tool in job hunting. Very, very important. But like I said in the beginning, always look at the perspective you are coming from. So over here, we are saying that the CV should be tailor-made and should meet a specific job requirement. We've passed the era where we practice the spray and pray. Over here, what we are saying is that those times when we are done with school, or even my time, I remember I did my very first CV when I finished being in high school. I started job hunting quite early. I remember my very first company I I applied was Pepsi. So it was a Pepsi, yeah, Pepsi Ghana. I wanted to go and do packing and things over there because it wasn't as if I really needed a job, but some of us understood um, building a career very early. So we just wanted to keep ourselves active. So we started from there. I built my very first CV, and it's developed since then, right? But back then and now, things have changed drastically. When we are talking about building a CV, I look at how even back in university when we were doing our CVs and all, comparing to now. And I was one person that I used to try to do people's CVs and things for them. Looking at the strategies then and now, things have changed greatly. Right now, I'm being taught, or I'm actually learning how to do a CV from a very different perspective, and it amazes me of how things have changed. You understand? So we all, like we said, change is inevitable. We need to try and adjust to the times, and that is how we are going to survive. So designing a winning CV, right? We actually need to put in effort now to learn how to make a winning CV. If you can't learn it on your own, the best is to seek professional help, right? So the question you should ask, or what you should do, is put yourself in the shoes of the employer or the recruiter and ask yourself, will you add value to your business if you hire yourself? That is the question you should ask. So when you pick up your CV and you try to make it or look at it from an outsider's point, will you add value to yourself if you hire yourself? If you're able to answer this question, it will help you make a very good CV, right? I'm going to go ahead and share some of the skills in CV writing, but that topic is a whole broad aspect right now, which I wouldn't want to go in for future consumption because with WorldLink HR, I'll introduce you to, I think as we go on, we'll introduce you to WorldLink HR and some of the services we render where CV writing is part. So we wouldn't want to go so much into it, right? But always remember this: the objective of the CV is not to land or not to get the job, but the objective is just to land an interview, which is the most important thing. So when you're designing your CV, put it in your mind that the objective is not to land the job, but just to get you to the interview. Then you take it from there, right? Communication of your value to the prospective employer starts from the CV. The CV also goes on to exhibit what you prospectively contribute to the employer when you are hired, right? So we said that you should have a tailored CV. Um, Back then, we just do one CV, then we send it out to every single job application, right? But now things have changed. Now you need to tailor your CV to meet the job description, right? So the very first thing when you see a job posting, look at the job description, look at the activities or the roles under the job posting. Based on that, you tailor your CV to suit the job application. That is what we are talking about. It's not wrong to have a parent CV. It's not wrong at all. For me, I always keep one main or one major CV. That's the parent CV. That one encompasses every single thing, every achievement, every success, every milestone, everything, right? But then again, whenever I'm applying for a specific role, out of that parent CV, you try and design one to suit the particular job application, right? So you have a parent CV, and that documents all your impacts in your professional leadership and voluntary capacities. So everything that you've done in your professional career, education, volunteerism, everything. So I usually classify that as your brag bank. So that's a brag bank, basically a document of achievements, your metrics and compliments, right? Then out of that, you create a tailored CV, right? So it's not wrong to have a parent CV. It's actually the best thing to do, have one. But don't use that same parent CV for every job application. And that is just what we are trying to say, right? And also talk about the measured impacts that you have made in your previous and current job postings or positions. That is what the CV is going to do. So the measured impact. So over here, we are moving on to another dimension. We are saying that one of the major qualities of a good CV is to avoid using activities. And that is, I think that is one mistake we all make when we are designing our CVs. So you did your national service. Um, I think one activity of every national service personnel, probably in administrative work, is delivery of or dispatching of letters and documents to other units within the organization. I think that's one activity I've seen on almost every national service personnel CV, right? So yes, you are saying avoid the use of activities. Some of us may not understand the difference between activities and successes and all that. And like I said earlier, um, in coming months, I'm sure we'll organize another session where we will talk about some of these things. But in the events where you need professional help, you can see some of the professionals on here and they would assist, right? But I'll just talk about it briefly. So, like I said, dispatching of activities, or sorry, dispatching of letters to every or to various units within the organization. That's just an activity. But in your CV, you should focus more on the achievement and not the duties. Don't focus on what you did, focus on what you achieved. What did you achieve by that action? What impact did it have? So when you were dispatching those documents, what impacts? So you look at the impacts they had on is it whether on your unit or the receiving unit over a certain period, right? So over here we are talking about mileage. How you measure mileage is a whole complex subject we're not going to. But we are looking at success bullets. So instead of using activities, we are saying use success bullets and mileage metrics to highlight the impact, right? And that makes your CV stand out. This is because we are looking at a CV, right? For a job posting, there are thousands of applications that are going to be received, right? And trust me, so many employers now don't have the time to say they're going through every single application. So what do? They resort to using the ATS, which is the applicant tracking systems. And these are softwares that they use certain algorithms just to help the employers or the recruiters to make selection out of the applicants that have put in the application, right? And these are based on it's based on certain factors or certain, they just need to input it and it gives them. So if it's certain keywords that they look out for in your CVs or wherever, right? So over here, these keywords we are talking about, they would appear in your success bullets. They wouldn't find them in these duties or activities that you stated, but they would appear in your success bullets, in the mileage bullets, and all that we are talking about, right? That is why you need to tailor your CV. And once it's tailored, you encompass it or you include those success bullets and mileage metrics, and this will help you to be selected or help your CV to stand out. There are so many of these ATS. One thing I usually advise people to do is that once you design your CV, go online, try any of these ATS, and see how your application would be scored or how it would survive in it, just to test your application or your CV, right? Very important, right? So that is what we are talking about, a good CV. For the fourth one, we are talking about a good cover letter. A good cover letter. So most people would say that a CV and a cover letter, they go together, but there's a thin line between each of them, and each one has its major, almost the same function, but what they help you to achieve is quite different, right? Some jobs may request for the CV, but they don't add or request for a cover letter. But trust me, take it from me that whenever you are submitting your CV, make sure to add a cover letter. Whenever you are submitting your CV, make sure to add a cover letter. To some extent, right? Most people don't even read the cover letters, honestly. A lot of employers don't even go to the cover letters. But that doesn't stop you from still including it. And when we are including it, it shouldn't just be something shabby, but it should be well structured. There's also a hack to it, designing a good cover letter. They are experts in helping with all of these, right? There are so many materials online that could help us in designing these things. But basically today what you're saying is that it's a big hack which we shouldn't do without. We should ensure that we add it, right? Whenever you are applying for a job, it helps you stay ahead. Even if the employer did not seek or ask for it, it helps you to stay ahead. It basically talks about your motivation to apply for the job. Gone are the days. Here again, I remember my very first cover letter I wrote. Those times, cover letter basically would just be showing your interest in the role and you pleading for an opportunity to join the company. But in times like these, now things are much different, right? We are talking about your motivation to apply for the job. So I'm sure a lot of you, I don't know, but I'm sure a lot of you have seen the academic requirements. Let's say if you're applying for masters and a lot of these educational programs, especially outside of the country, most of them request for personal statements or motivational letters. Yes. So this is what your cover letter is in a job application. It's your personal statement. It's you showing your motivation for the role. You get it, right? So it talks about your motivation to apply for the job. It highlights what you admire about the company. Over here, you are trying to give the employer some assurance or give them some information or just showing them that you know something about the company and not just what you know, because you could just go on the internet and pick up something, right? But what you know and relating it to you or your career path, you understand? So that is where the secret is. You ensuring that you link it to your growth and your career path. And that is where you're going to get the attention of the employer. Indicate how the role fits in your career plan and growth. That is what you should include in your cover letter, right? The upsides of having a good cover letter. put you a step ahead. Like we said, they didn't ask, but you've gone ahead to introduce yourself. It whips up the recruiter's interest. So you sent a CV, they read your CV, they've gone through. But then again, to put together very, a very well thought cover letter, it builds their interest, and definitely they're going to call you for an interview. And that is where it starts. They get to know you before they actually get to know you. They get to know you before they actually get to know you. The impression that a good cover letter creates, it just lays the foundation for you before they actually meet you and want to get to know you. That is the purpose of a cover letter. The impression is just about you creating an impression on the mind of the employer. Then when they actually meet you in person, it's like they are pre-informed. So the interview is just to satisfy their curiosity. And that is the purpose of a very good cover letter, together with a well put together CV. Lays a foundation for a successful interview, right? So that's the fourth hack for today. We'll look at the very last hack, interview preparation. So we've spoken about the PA, we've spoken about the networking, we've spoken about having a very good CV and a cover letter. Like we said with the CV, that is what is going to get you to the interview room. A cover letter is what is going to set the pace for a very good interview. Networking over here joins those two, and they get you to this stage, the interview preparation. It may include an aptitude test. I'm sure we are well aware these days, depending on the organization you're applying for, you prepare accordingly. Just like a normal face-to-face interview, the aptitude test also requires the same level of learning and practice. It could span from English to logical reasoning to mathematics. There's a whole lot these days, right? So we usually advise that we constantly learning, especially what you learned when you were in the university, when you were young. Usually it's basic math, some are even current affairs. So you should be constantly learning, be taking in information, right? Very important. You may not even have an idea, but you having certain understanding of certain concepts may help you to get a good mark in an aptitude test, because you understand the concepts, they help you to be able to answer these questions correctly. Very important. Nowadays, interviews take different forms. Currently, the most popular one is the face-to-face interviews we all go for. Very common these days. But now there's one type of interview which is picking up, which is the casual lunch invitations, or just the casual invitations. What employers do these days is they invite you casually. They don't tell you that it's an interview. They just invite you casually to come to a certain location. Be aware, or you should be conscious of these, so that you go prepared. You may think that, oh, they just called me to the office, but you never know. It's probably is an interview. It could be just one person or two people you're going to meet, but they may actually be assessing you for a job you applied for. So be always ready, especially where you've been, especially when you are job hunting, right? Always be ready, because you never know. Prepare adequately, like you're saying. Always be prepared. Employ multiple learning resources and seek professional help. You are saying that with all these points we are talking about, with the CV, with the cover letter, employ multiple learning resources. Go online. There are so many resources online. But where the resources are so many, you don't know where to even start from, or which to even pick up. That is where you seek professional help. There are so many people out there who are willing to help. And that is why we even have World Link HR there. We are open. you come in, just make us know what you want, and we are there to help. With this last one, I'll leave it as an assignment for all of us to take up, to research. We are looking at STAR and the CAL interview approaches. I'll not talk about these, but I intentionally put them included them in my slide, so it's something we all take away and ensure that we research on. Is for our own consumption or personal use. These are interview answering methods. So you go for an interview, how do you approach certain questions that you are asked? So the STAR and the CAL interview approaches would equip you with those skills, right? So that you'll be able to answer the questions or approach such certain questions that you are asked in a well-structured manner, which is acceptable to the employer, right? So also about the interview preparation, would say that like we're talking about the casual ones, right? Always be prepared, even physically. I think somewhere this week, we had where I work, we organized some interviews for certain positions, and it was casual. So we called to invite the applicants, and we just told them to come to the office for a conversation, or management would like to meet them. And I was so surprised that their outfits, even how some of them appeared, the physical appearance, because this is a place where you've expressed interest to come and work. And if you even see how they turned up, you'll be surprised, right? So this just goes to say that we should be always ready. You are called. You don't know the purpose or the reason you are being called. Always go prepared, both physically and mentally as well, right? So that you can give off your best in the interview. That is what we are saying, right? So we've treated 5 hacks in some few minutes right now. We are talking about a positive attitude, the PA, which is the very first and most important. In fact, they are all equally important. But for me, the PA is, I feel like those ones they lay the foundation for the rest, right? So very positive attitude, networking, good networking. We are talking about giving value to obtain more. We are talking about volunteering, where your skill is not up the notch and you need to put yourself in a certain position. You start from somewhere. Selling yourself out to people, for people to take your brand and even put it out there for you, right? We are talking about a winning CV. We've also spoken about a good cover letter, and lastly, we looked at the interview preparation, right? In conclusion, what we are saying is that there should be equal emphasis on all the 5 hacks. Dropping one of them may cost you. Equal emphasis on all the 5. Dropping any one of them may cost you, right? Like we said, the PA, very important. Networking, so important as well. You can't drop any of them, right? Manage your expectations. It's very difficult, especially when you keep applying and you are not seeing any results. It gets so frustrating, especially in this in this economy or this environment we find ourselves, right? But what can you do? You just have to keep going. And that was my focus, or that's been my prime objective with this presentation, right? Just to ensure that you keep on trying, no matter the failure that may come. You may go for the interviews, you may not even be called, but just keep trying. Always try and do things much better than the last time. So you did an application, fine, you were not called. The next one, make sure you take it up a notch. Add more value to your CV. Let somebody help you, right? If it's interviews and you need help, or you need to prepare adequately, there's help out there just to help you put yourself at the best, or make yourself good at it. Right now, we have so many tools to help you. Even mock interviews are there. I mean, talk to yourself in the mirror, try to answer your questions, build your confidence level, and it goes on and on. Right, just to put you in the best position for the next opportunity. But then again, even as you do all this, face reality, the possibility of not landing the job. That's what you're talking about. So as you prepare, always have it in your mind that yes, there's a possibility of not landing the job. But don't let constant failures keep you from still applying or putting in the pressure. That's what you're talking about. Don't let the constant failures keep you back or weigh you down. Just keep on. I've met people who they've stopped applying for jobs. You have so through networking, you get to know people, and I mean, you can't hold their hand and send them to a certain organization to work. But what best can you do is to try and the opportunities that you may come across, you also pass it on to them for them to try their luck. So you keep on doing it over and over again. And sometimes I wonder and ask myself that these opportunities that you keep sending to the person, are they even applying, or you're just wasting your time? You will later find out that they are not even putting in applications because they feel like, oh, I've applied, and I'm not seeing anything. Right. But we've also had success stories where there were people you keep on trying, or you keep on sending them these job postings, and they applied, and some even went for interviews, and they've landed jobs. Right. So fine, the possibility is there, but still keep on, and also make room for various biases. Right. It's natural. We live in a human society where there are so many biases, or anything is possible. With biases, we are talking about natural biases, interview biases. We all know these things. I know you, you know me. Who knows who, or based on certain opportunities that people have, they may have a better advantage over you. These things are natural, but don't let it stop you from also applying for a specific job, or don't let that even intimidate you when you go for an interview. Also, there are interview biases where things may just not go on well at that particular interview. I mean, it's no fault of yours, right? What can you do? It was just a bad day. You leave it behind and you go on for the next interview. Don't let that be in your mind and weigh you down. These things it was just a one-time moment. Build on it and make it better the next time. Fine, you had anxiety attack or whatever, or you got irritated, a certain recruiter pushed you to the wall, interview panelists pushed you to the wall or something. I mean, it's gone. Shouldn't stop you from going for another interview, right? Just keep on and make room for these biases so that they don't weigh you down, right? You may be experienced and have your best application, but still face rejection. Solid. That's so solid. You may be experienced and have your best application, but still face rejection. So with all these hacks we are talking about, there's a possibility that you may possess all of these, but you may still get rejected. Why? Based on certain biases, like you said. So you still make room for all of these, but continue preparing and keep showing up. Continue preparing and keep showing up. And one thing I also like to state is always be conscious. Always be conscious and like be active. These days we have people, especially with the networking thing we're talking about. I was having a discussion with one employer. Okay, it's not actually an employer, but okay, a colleague, and she was telling me something that so an employer reached out to her regarding a job, and she wanted to recommend someone, but nowadays, what people do is in networking, they wouldn't send you straight or directly to the employer, but they'll bring the employer to you for you to make your move. So this is where that colleague shared the job posting with the applicant. She could have just held the hand of the applicant, sent the person to the employer. Oh, I know this person. Assess her and see if she qualifies, that kind of thing. But she just gave the job posting to her, expecting her to apply. And the funny thing was, the job had to do in the area of, I think it was with accounting. Yes, it was. It wasn't really accounting, or let me say serious accounting, right? But the applicant's background was not related to it. So there and then she just closed her mind on it and she didn't even want to apply. Right. But over here, what we are saying is that be open-minded. This was one of the skills we were talking about, right? The attitude. Be open-minded. Your background may be related to it, but not directly under it. But even through that relation, you may continue to apply for the job, and who knows, you may get in and even be given a different role. At least just try and get in. The focus is to get to the interview, not to get to the job. That is one thing we should always remember. Get to the interview. Anything can happen at that interview. That could even change everything. Who knows, they may find out that they actually don't need that particular job posting or that role that they advertise with, but it's actually your skill that they need and may adjust to it, right? So basically what you're saying is that be open-minded, keep applying, prepare, and keep showing up accordingly. Normalize rejections. I think that's one thing we need to accept. Rejections do not mean you are not dumb, or do not mean you are dumb, and continue to build strong mental resilience. So basically, just want to encourage everyone with these 5 acts. Constantly, consciously practice them. That is the best advice you can get. Constantly, and be conscious about them, even as you practice them every single day, whether you have a job or whether you don't, whether you're actively searching or passively searching. Be conscious about it. Prepare adequately, very important. And just keep showing up. Just prepare and keep showing up. Show up for those interviews. Anything may come up. Be open-minded. You never know how the interview may go. Right. Basically, that is what you're trying to say. At this point, I would like to say thank you for your audience, and I'll hand over to the moderator, Lily, to open the floor for questions at this point. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Charles, for those valuable insights. Now, we would love to hear from you. Do you have any questions about this, what we just covered? Any questions at all? Feel free to raise your hand or drop your questions in the chat, please. Any questions, please? Okay, Frances. I think Frances obeys. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that rightly. Frances, you have a question. Please go ahead.
Yes, please. I'm Frances Obaze, and I wanted to say something about an experience I had, and I think it aligns with some of the it aligns with what you said about biases and even showing up for interviews. So I applied for this job and my CV was okay, and then I went through the interview. The interview also went well. Then I received word from the interviewer, and he said that, oh, I qualified for the the role, and he liked me, he liked everything about me, just that somebody beat me to it. Then he added that the person beat me to it because the person had worked with them before. So it kind of discouraged me a bit because I felt like this is something that happens like a lot. Like they I don't know, it kind of made me have this mindset that for most jobs in Ghana, they already have someone, or if they already know someone and you apply, even though you are good or anything like that, they would definitely consider someone they know instead of you. So I felt a bit would I say it discouraged me a bit in my job search. And I felt like the next time I had an interview, the next time I got a job, yes. And right after, I think the next day I had an interview. And even though the job I got, it was just something along the line. It wasn't really something that I wanted to do, but I needed a job. So I just did it. And then I got a better job, which was more aligning with the career goals and stuff. But I feel like that discouragement from the first interview just made me feel like, oh, they probably have someone or something like that. So it didn't make me show up for that one. I just said, if I have a job, let me just keep it. But now I feel like I have cheated myself in a certain way. So I feel like what you said about keep us showing up regardless, and like overcoming these things, like the whatever comes our way, like do the process, the job application process, is also an important thing that we have to consider. So thank you very much for
Yes,
your
yes.
presentation.
To add to what Frances just said, right? So these biases are there. I mean, it's just natural. If you were, or if you are any employer, trust me, you do the same thing. Some of these come up because, in your case, the person had worked with them before. Probably it was some internship. Probably it was national service or something. So over there, that is where they beat you. You get it. It's not as if you didn't qualify. You qualified, but they just beat you with just that little thing. I think earlier we said something about probably you going into volunteerism, or not having the skill and trying to use volunteerism to also add up, and that was under networking, right? So that is where now some of these things come in, because through internships, through attachments, and all these, you get to continue to network, add to your skill, get to know people, and if you're applying for a job there, you also get to benefit from some of these biases. So that's one way to beat them. But I mean, it's only natural, and I'm glad that you're able to um, continue from there. That was a very great one. So more grace to your elbow, and thanks for sharing.
All right, thank you very much, Frances. Thank you, Charles. Any other question, please? Do we have any other questions to ask? Michael, did you want to ask a question, please? Michael Blankson.
Oh,
A
hey.
hand was raised.
Yes,
Did you want to
yes.
ask a question?
At all. I wanted to
Okay.
actually compliment Mr. Charles of such a wonderful presentation. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you too. Thank you too.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yeah, Frances, the floor is yours, please.
Okay, another question just popped in mind. A friend suggested some time back that there's a government company close by my place, which like is one out of a million. We don't have so many government organizations here. And I did procurement, and she said that I should consider talking to the manager of the place, that they don't have a procurement office now. So I should consider talking to the person and then starting it and working for free for some time. So I go to the man and tell him that, I have completed school, I'm looking for a job, and then I don't have anything to do right now, but I can help with setting up your procurement office. I'll not charge anything. I just need the experience and stuff. So with time, if they can give me something, it will help. So I considered that for a while. And a few friends discouraged me from it, but some also thought it was a good idea. So I think this is a good space to ask if really is a good idea to work for free, not knowing how long they would consider um, paying me, whether they would consider paying me in the future, or whether they would even retain me in the future. I wanted to know if that is a good career advice to follow. Yeah, that's my question.
All right, thank you. Charles,
Yes.
could you please help
Thank you.
us with that?
Okay. Thank you very much, Frances. Um, so usually one thing I always say is that I I wouldn't feed you, or should I say it this way? I wouldn't tell you what to do, but I would put the options in front of you and allow you to make a decision. Um, what we are going to do is that we will help you to analyze. Over here, the options or the possibilities are a lot. The stakes are high. Um, there are a lot of things to consider in making such a decision. So many factors you need to consider. We are looking at the level of the company, what stage have they got into, right? What stage, in every organizational cycle, there are stages. We are looking at what stage have they got into, where are they heading to in the next 5 years minimum, where do they intend to get to, even in relation to the department you are talking about, right? What's the plan that they have? Do you see it? They might not give you certain information, but based on the analysis that you are going to make, right? Do you see it? Do you see it to be something feasible in the next 5 to 10 years? Then relating it to your personal plan as well. I mean, where are you? What level are you in life or in your career? Where do you intend to get to? If you are to take this opportunity, right? How long is it going to take? Within that period, what value are you going to add to yourself, or where do you intend to get to? The questions are a lot. There are so many factors you need to consider, right? So what our advice is, you need to be careful. Honestly is a very good idea, right? But you need to be careful with making such a decision. You need to consider all the factors involved, have the necessary discussions I need to have with the organization and also with yourself, looking at your career plan or the path you want to take, right? If it falls in line, right, you can go ahead and take that bold step. I mean, there's a risk in every decision we make, right? So you just need to wait, and it may go to your benefit. But in something like this, honestly, I believe that there's no loss. Personally, that's what I believe, that there's no loss. Whether you go with the opportunity or not, you don't lose anything. Because let's look at it from a layman's point. You go ahead, you start this whole thing. Trust me, there's no way they'll not give you anything. There's no way they'll not give you anything. Definitely, they're going to compensate you. It may not be up to your expectation or what you actually deserve, but It'll be something to keep you going, right? You also get the experience, right? You build your CV with the successes and the mileages, right? Trust the possibilities are endless. The advantages are also high over here, right? Even if you don't go ahead with it, you are also somewhere, probably you are working somewhere. Within that period or that 5 or 10 years that you would have been there, you could have also gone a different path and you still don't lose, right? So with this, I don't think there's any loss. But like I said, the stakes are high. There are so many factors you need to consider and you need to look at. Where you need more advice or um, more help in assessing the situation, I'll put out my information. You can reach out and we reason together. Right. Thank you.
Thank you too.
All right, thank you. I think Mr. David Marty also have another question to ask. Yeah, the floor is yours, please.
Yes, please. So, good evening, and thank you so much, Mr. Charles, for the presentation. So, my question is, many a times, when you go for interview, they complain that um, on your CV they can see you mostly spent 2 years in at your previous jobs. So, I wanted to find out what is the appropriate year to spend in a company that HR managers don't complain, because many a times they complain, oh, you just spent 2 years here, 2 years here, 2 years there. That doesn't mean that you're not unstable and all that. But sometimes to everybody want to go to where he or she is appreciated, or where the pay is better. So I want to know from you, what year is appropriate to be to
Right.
spend at a job place.
Right. Right. Thank you very much. Uh, Honestly, there's no number of years acceptable or appropriate to spend at any organization. You may start a job 6 months in and want to apply somewhere else, right? But I think when we're starting this presentation, I made a point that most of these points that we're going to raise are things you've heard over and over again, but just look at the perspective. So I'll refer you to when we're talking about the CV and when we're talking about the cover letter, right? So we said something about perspectives. We are looking at your plan being in line with the plan of the organization and the picture you give them in your cover letter. So definitely every employer's objective is to retain staff for a certain number of years. And if on your CV they keep seeing you started and you left, you started and you left, it's a red flag, or it paints a certain picture. It's not really a red flag, but they, they would want to inquire. They would want to know why. But then again, you painted a picture that you have a plan, you have a career plan, or you have an objective, you have a goal, right? And you also continue to link it to that of the organization or the particular job role that you're applying for, right? For me, if you're in an interview and you come to me and fine, I see that, oh, you started 2 years or just a year and you are leaving, and it's been maybe twice with different organizations. What I'll look out for is how you align it with my organization, because that is what I'm looking at, you working over a certain period. So if your purpose, your career purpose aligns with the job application or the job posting or the role that you are coming in for, I know what I want to achieve with you coming on board, because in human resource planning, we plan for maybe 5 years minimum. So I know what I want to achieve. So if it falls in line, for me, I wouldn't have a problem with the 2 years or 1 year that you worked and you keep working and leaving at other organizations. It's all about you painting a certain picture, right? So it's how you carry out the information, how you paint that picture to the employer or the recruiter. If you're able to paint a good picture, it's all about image. Paint a good picture, a good image. I think you'll be able to scale through. We understand perfectly that fine is about the money and all, right? But go beyond that. Go beyond that and paint a more positive picture, and you'll be able to scale through. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. I think there's another question. Michael Blanksy has another question to ask.
Thank you so
Voice
much,
yours.
Asabia. Yes, so I just wanted to add a little bit to what Mr. Charles said with regards to Frances's question. And I'll relate that with some personal stories, which colleagues of mine have shared. I think quite a few years down the line, over the past years, I met a colleague who actually also had a similar opportunity to help in some form of an administrative assistant at a very well-known oil company. And, you know, they had quite a higher qualification when it comes to the position that they are were entrusted to lead. So, you know, they came to me and then they asked for an advice. I said that currently they weren't working then. You may have like 4 masters, you may have a PhD, you may have whatever it is, but I think that you being at home and you having such an opportunity is basically, like Mr. Charles said, being intentional about networking. So such an opportunity, not only looking at the benefits that will come with the monetary benefits or the financial benefits that will come with, we're also looking at you exploring other opportunities within that space. So such an organization, how many people come there? What are some of the programs they do which aligns to your career trajectory and so forth. So they joined the company, and as they started as an administrative assistant, which of course was way lesser than the anticipated roles they were looking for. But down the line, they met a CEO who actually had a brief conversation with them. And within that 5 minutes of conversation, they landed a very well paid job in that same organization, or say a sister organization. Yeah, which was about 100 times what the administrative assistant was. And that was a breakthrough for them. Even the jobs that they were looking out for, this job is paying them much more than the career jobs that they were hoping to have. So some of these things, the analysis, like Mr. Charles said, the opportunities are endless. And so you have to analyze what space that is. Make sure you have someone like Mr. Charles to coach you. You have someone to, draw the plan, make sure that you are tallying it with what you wish to achieve, what's your 5-year plan in terms of your career, etc. Then also, the other part of it that Mr. Charles mentioned was that you also have to do a proper analysis and also have to do a proper self-introspection of yourself to say that I do not have these skills and this opportunity is going to give me these set of skills. So you're not only looking at the monetary value.
Yeah.
But there are some organizations who, what is it like Mr. Charles is saying, what is the level of that organization? Is it a startup? Is it an early stage startup? Is it an organization that has so much perspective? Because there are some organizations when you given might not be able to afford to pay you, but they might not also have the capacity to give you the luxury of learning. And so you might be stuck in there. And there are other things that could also come. So make sure that all the time you have someone to coach you, you have someone who would draw your attention to some of these things. Yes, so basically that was what I wanted to say. Thank you so much. I hand over the microphone to Sabia.
All right. Thank you very much, Michael
Thank you.
Blankson. Any other questions, suggestions, contributions? You can type them in the comments, sorry, the chat section as well. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining us today. And also remember, a smart strategy now can make a huge difference in your career path. We are excited to see what's next for you all. Good luck to all of us. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.